Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from SimpleProgrammer.com. I am in Switzerland here, and I thought I would do a video about well, look at that, I can zoom. Isn't that cool? I'm using my little toy. Okay, I can zoom out. But it's a little bit crooked. It's like it's supposed to be balancing, but it's like balancing it crooked. Let's see if we can fix this. No, I'm just making it worse, aren't I? Oh, wait a minute. I need like a level on this thing. It should already like know how to level itself, shouldn't it? Oh. Here we go. That's close enough, I think. Anyway, I wanted to do a video on a topic that is something that I'm afraid I'm going to forget about. I marked this on my Trello board. It's called 3 Levels of Social Awareness and Freedom. And I think I alluded to doing a video on this one time when I was doing a video. You can check out my playlist on freedom and what I think freedom actually means here. But I want to talk about kind of a cornerstone of this concept of freedom, which is this idea of essentially 3 levels of freedom. And I wanted to define for you what those 3 levels of freedom are. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I'll give you the overview first of all. Essentially, what I think that there is that there's 3 levels that you achieve in being more free. If you're trying to be free as a person, like is my goal in life is to become more and more free. And those levels graduate up. There's 3 levels, right? And you advance these levels as you attain higher levels of personal freedom. And that's basically what I found. I'll call it social self-awareness / freedom, because I like to throw a slash in there. Anyway, so the first level, let's talk about the first level. So the first level of social awareness or freedom is where most people stay for their entire life, which is where what their actions and what they do is completely influenced by their perception or other people's perception of them and their perception of other people's perception of them. So what I mean by this is that if you're at this first level, what you're concerned with, the main thing that motivates and informs your actions as a person, as a human being, is what other people think of you. So, for example, obviously I'm not recording a video out in public now, but a lot of times when I'm recording videos out in public, some people are like, wow, that's crazy, I could never do that. And my answer to that question is, why couldn't you do that? And the answer is, well, because I don't know. I would be embarrassed. And then if I ask the question, well, why would you be embarrassed? It's going to boil down to essentially any time that you say something like that, it's going to come down to, well, other people might think I'm an idiot, or other people might think this about me. Bam, we're at the point of you caring what other people think. That's one of the reasons why I do record a lot in public, is because I want to make sure there's no inch of that within me, because I don't want to care what other people think, especially in that regard. Now, to some regard, you're always going to have a little bit of that to some degree, but the more that you can purge yourself of that, the more that you can reach the level 2. But most people stay in level 1. Again, I'll talk to you guys here. You can check out my guy playlist on becoming a better man and attracting women, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there on framing and things like that, and breaking this awareness and becoming a little bit more confident, a lot more confident. And a lot of you guys, when I talk to you about women, and one of the big things is that you're afraid to go and talk to women. You're afraid to go and talk to people in general, but especially women, especially good-looking women that you would like to date, and you just want somehow a magic solution to come into your life, and it's not going to happen. And the reason why that you're afraid to do this is, again, you're at level 1. You're basically caring what other people think, right? Because if you think about it, well, like, what is the basis of this fear? Is there an actual physical harm that's going to come to you? No, it's that you care that this person is going to think you're an idiot or think you're a jerk or whatever, and that other people are going to observe it and also think that you are an idiot or a fool or whatever, retarded maybe. Okay, I don't know. So That's what's stopping you. So I want to tell you this, why? Because I want you to understand that overcoming this level one of freedom, is really important in your life if you want to succeed. Like once you can get past level one, you're like 90% there. Like you're, at least it appears that way. What I mean is that you're 90% better than most people at dealing with these issues. This is kind of funny. It's like, I don't know, I kind of like this though. All right, so that's level one. Okay, next, after level one comes level two, and you can reach different levels of this in different aspects of your personality, in different contexts and situations, right? But in general, level two is where you have basically, you can do, and if we talk about this in the context of freedom, right? Again, level one is you're not able to do what you want to do, right? Ultimate freedom, again, if you watch my videos on freedom, is the ability to do what you want to do, what you internally want to do, whatever you conceptualize in your mind, right? I want to go and talk to that person. I want to go and sing in the middle of the street. I want to go strip naked and run through the fountain. I don't know if you should do that one, but whatever you conceptualize in your mind, right, that you're able to do because you literally don't care what other people think. That's true freedom. So level one is that you do care. You're in bondage. You're not able to do what you think because you have to filter it through what will other people think of me first. Level two is where you've thrown off that shackle, okay? And you don't care what other people think of you, but you care what you think of you so much, and you care so much about being afraid and being shackled that you feel compelled to do things even though you don't want to, right? At that level of awareness, this is where most people who have conquered level one, they get stuck here at level two and they're like hyperactive, right? So what this means is, like, let's say that you're afraid to, let's use my example. Like, there was a point where I was at this and I was afraid to, at first I was afraid to record videos in public, and then I was like, I have to record every video in public and I must do it. And there was a point in my life where I was afraid to talk to girls, right? I was afraid to talk to girls, and I was like, oh, I've got to talk to every single girl. Every time that I'm afraid to do something, I must do it. And that's a decent philosophy to have in life, to some degree, except that it's not what you want to do. Again, it's another way, it's another level of limitation on you. It's not true freedom because something else is controlling you. Now it's not necessarily what people think. It's this compulsion, this fear of not being good enough or not being great enough, and having to live up to a standard or an ideal of yourself. It's not true freedom. It's more freedom because you don't care what other people think, because you're forcing yourself to become uncomfortable. You're forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone, and getting there is certainly going to be beneficial to you. But once you get there, you'll realize that you're stuck in compulsive land, where you're compulsively doing things simply because you feel that you must do them, because you don't want to be weak, afraid, scared, shy, whatever it is, socially, influenced by other people, right? And sometimes people will do this and they'll get into sort of where they get stuck. You can get stuck here, which is where you're rebellious, right? Where you're just rebelling against authority and against rules and against everything, just for the sake of it, just because no one's going to tell me what to do, and I'm not going to listen to anyone, and I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. But you're not actually doing whatever the fuck you want. You're only doing the opposite of what people are thinking of you. And it's interesting, this is a lot like poker, in the sense that in the game of poker, you think at different levels, right? It seems like a very shallow game. There's not a lot of moves and a lot of things you can do, Texas Hold'em. But what you think is, you figure out the level of thinking that your opponent's thinking at, and then you have to think one level above them, right? And you can't be 2 levels above them, you can't be 1 level below them, you have to be exactly there. And so it's the same kind of thing here. If you are influenced by what people think of you, they actually can manipulate you fairly easily by knowing that you're influenced by what they think of you, or what you think of them, or no, of what they think of you, and they can act in such a way to influence your behavior by controlling how you perceive that they perceive you, or other people perceive you, and that's going to be an easy way to manipulate you. The same thing happens at level 2. If I know that you don't care what other people think, but you must do the opposite, then I can also control and manipulate you. And what does that mean? Again, that means you don't have true freedom. It means you have a little bit more freedom, because it's a little bit harder to control someone in that way when they're not as intimidated, they're not as as afraid of what other people have to say or what they think, but it's still a form of control. I can still manipulate you and control you simply by making you do the opposite of what you think that I want you to do, right? Make you rebel. So a lot of rebellious people get stuck in the stage and they stay there and they don't realize that they think they're being free, but they feel that they're in bondage to themselves, right? They can't really have that true freedom. So then you've got level 3. Level 3 is where you're so confident and you're so uncaring about what other people think about you that you don't have to prove it, right? Level 2 is kind of proving it, right? It's like, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna prove it, right? But proving it is actually giving a shit. Level 3 is really truly being so confident and so clear about who you are and your own self-worth that if you feel like doing something, you do it. If you don't feel like doing something, you don't do it, right? Again, it doesn't mean that you don't have discipline. It just means that from your own perspective, of your own will, right? Your will, the way I'm going to define your will, and this is whoever wins out in the eternal battle of what you want to do, right? So, you can have discipline, and you don't always just, like, being totally free doesn't mean you just do whatever you want to do anytime that you want, right? It means that when you've rationalized and decided that you want to do, you execute and can accomplish, and it doesn't matter what other people think about that, okay? That you actually have that freedom, right? And there's some depth to this, but as far as the levels, I think this is the best way to explain it. So level 3 is essentially this, is essentially the total freedom of truly not caring what other people think. So your behavior, your actions are not like level 1 person where they are completely influenced by what other people think of them. And so they're going to be afraid to talk to girls. They're going to be afraid to go and get on stage. They're going to be afraid to record a video in public. You can fill in the blanks. There's a ton of different things. Okay, and level 2 is, again, it is similar, but you're free of all that, but you're compulsively doing things because you're trying to prove it to yourself, you're trying to prove it to the world, right? You're trying to gain your freedom, but in doing so, it's controlling you. But level 3 is to be above and beyond all of that, and to just act as naturally as possible. What comes to you? What action do you envision? And I want to give you the distinction again between level 2 and level 3, because at level 2 you think you're free, but you're not actually free, and the reason why you're not free is because you don't know what you actually want, right? Because if you are still trying to prove yourself, if you're still struggling with your self-worth and your issues of inadequacy, and you're rebelling, or you're purposely doing things because you have to prove to yourself or to the world or to whatever it is. It's an intermediate stage, and it's a good stage to be. But if you're constantly doing that, you don't know what you actually want. You don't know if you're not acting on impulses, you're acting on a lot of premeditated thoughts about things, right? But at level 3, you're acting on impulses. You're completely instinctual, you're completely going with the flow, you're completely in the now, in the present moment, and you're unafraid and super awares, but also unawares, if that makes sense, right? Because it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. You literally don't give a shit. You literally are going to do whatever you conceptualize and feel is right to you to do in that moment, and that's the ultimate freedom. So anyway, I thought I'd outline that. Those are what I call the 3 levels of social awareness of freedom. Number 1, like I said, being caring what people think. Number 2, the trap of proving yourself, I would say, or not caring what people think so much that you actually, ironically, do care, right? The opposite of that. And level 3, being above it all to the point where you can actually be present and you can actually operate from instinct in the present moment rather than a premeditated analytical viewpoint. And you got to progress through these stages, right? You're not going to get to level 3 unless you've gone to level 2. But here's the thing, and this is why I'm making this video, is because I realized that I got stuck in level 2 for a long time. And I'm still, trying to find my way from level 2 to level 3. There's still, sometimes I'm there, I'm in level 3 zone, and that's great, but sometimes I'm falling back into level 2, and sometimes even back to level 1. So I think this is not something that you just conquer and then it's done. It's a continual progressive thing, and you spend and live more of your time in the various higher levels as much as possible as you progress, and you can fall back as well. So the big thing though, like I said, the reason why I'm making this video is just to give you kind of a warning. If you're stuck in the level 2, realize that, yeah, it's great that you've conquered level 1. It's awesome. But now, are you really free? Or are you being compelled? Or your actions and what you're doing are you being compelled by trying to prove something, trying to show that you're no longer in level 1? If you are, you're not truly free. You still got some ways to go, and you're gonna have to conquer that. So if you're curious about how to conquer that, like leave a comment, let me know. We can talk about going from level 2 to level 3 and some of the strategies, some of the things and exercises that you can do. But if you're interested in fact, if you're interested in transitioning between the levels, let me know, leave a comment below, and I'll try to do a video on that. All right, make sure you click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of these videos. If you wanna see my follow-up and you wanna see the answers to the comments here, click that bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.